Team Total Divas versus Team Bad and Blonde, but we are always Team Total Bell. Oh, fudge. Now it was me. Team Total Divas versus Team Bad and Blonde, but we are always Team Bella here on AFTERBUZZ TV, where we are breaking down Season 6, Episode 1. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yay! We are back on top of the world with a brand new season of Total Divas. We've been waiting for it. We've been counting down and watching Total Bella. You guys are amped too, and we are so happy that you've joined us here on AFTERBUZZ TV. We are live on YouTube. I do have the live chat rolling. I can't wait to hear what you guys thought about tonight's episode. We are on iTunes and SoundCloud as well. Please give us a 5-star rating. Hit that thumbs up button if you are watching live. My name is Christy Olson, and you can always keep up with me at Christy Reports. The gang is all here. We have got Megan Stecher on the panel this season.
Hey, gang.
Welcome back, girl.
Thank you.
How are you gonna hit you up?
Hit me up on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. It's all at Megan Stecher.
And filling in tonight for Paulina Aguilar, who will be back next week, we have got Jennifer Leon.
Hi, I was on the Total Bellas panel, so I'm Jennifer Leon. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Jennifer Leon TV.
Yeah, she's Team Bella. And our one and only, what I like to refer to as our straight male perspective, rocking that WrestleMania shirt and Jimbo in the booth. It is, do we call you Jimbo?
That's fine, yeah.
Jimbo Slice?
You can still call me that, that's fine. I go by James by any name, yeah.
James by any name, I like that.
You said your wife might want you home tonight, and I was like, oh man, that sounded weird.
We can relate to all the action going down. Weddings, matches, it's all happening tonight. We are rolling right into WrestleMania 32. This picks up right where Total Bellas left off, and oh my gosh, we were amped. The way that Total Bellas ended was kind of with all the ladies walking into the stadium, how this one started. We were excited, and when we had to pause for a second when we started the episode tonight, and we were like, oh no, wait, now we have to start over because there was a total momentum that got going. What was your guys' first impressions of this monumental premiere?
I was so excited and really, really happy to see that again because obviously we loved how Total Bellas ended and we kept replaying it, and I think so many other people did too. So when it started, I was like, okay, yay, perfect segue into it.
Yeah, the hype video and like the editing was so good that like we've all seen that like 4 or 5 times now, and every time it just got better.
Yeah.
It was like, oh.
I thought this was the best episode I've ever seen of Total Divas. Not gonna lie, I thought it was jam-packed, amazing, and the promo rolling, how they rolled into the episode was something they've never done, and it gave me chills, and I loved it.
Oh my gosh, you might actually be right about that one, I think. All right, well, let's jump right into this, the best episode of Total Divas we have ever seen. Episode 1, Season 6, Total Superstars. Yes, they are, and we're definitely gonna get there. But this one opens, like we said, with all the ladies arriving in the stadium in Dallas. I was there, y'all. Whoop, whoop.
Yay. We saw you.
Yeah, right? I was
saw
there. I was a
you
spec.
partying at your SUV.
And then we get all excited about Mania, and then they roll us back a week, and we learn that we are going to get all the drama leading up to WrestleMania. Brie is all alone. She's gearing up for her retirement match. Naomi is back. I got my Feel the Glow shirt on tonight. I am happy to have I call her the voice of reason. You know, all the other ladies have these really fantastical lives and I think fantastical views on the world and themselves. And Naomi's just like average stepmom trying to like get her hair done. She's just so relatable. Are you guys happy to see Naomi back?
Yes, I thought she was like always the sweetest, always the most chill, never starts anything. She's a true friend to everyone, and I love her new do.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and I love seeing her transform, like, every single time we see her. I feel like she's always, I mean, I don't watch wrestling, but I feel like she's always, I know, but I see her and I see that she's always doing something new, and it seems like she's like fresh and always, I don't know, up with what's going on now.
She's hip with the times.
Yeah.
Well, speaking, I know you say you don't watch wrestling now. Me and Jimbo are the big wrestling fans.
Yes.
Megan and Jen watch Total Divas and Total Bellas, and we love to offer both those perspectives to you guys. But I will never stop trying to get everyone to be a WWE fan.
I
think I've almost got you.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I just need to know like when everything is so I could DVR it, and then I'll watch, and then I'll be set.
All right,
yeah.
you can come for SmackDown.
All right, perfect.
I love that. Well, I also want to get your guys' takes on first impressions of the new ladies. So we have Lana. She is Rusev's white fiance at this point. Fiance. Maurice, the Miz's wife, and Renee Young, Dean Ambrose's girlfriend. They are, of course, defined by far more than who they're dating, but that's kind of how they were introduced to us tonight. What do you guys think? Are you excited for this kind of new blood?
I love Lana being there, and it was so crazy to hear her talk without her accent.
So weird, right?
Yeah, it was so weird.
I couldn't get used to it throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, so on TV she plays like a really like Russian, like very Bridget Nielsen from Rocky IV.
Oh, great.
You know, like woman's, suit, and comes out with the mic and the hair, and she like always introduces Rusev, and like that's her man. So like it was so cool to see her on, and then like, oh wait, she's not talking with the accent. Like this is so weird. But I liked it. I really did.
Yeah. How about Maurice and Renee? What do you think, ladies?
Well, Maurice at first, I really liked her, especially when she was talking about everything with Brie and her history, and obviously we'll get into that later, but I feel like I was getting so much information. It was literally just 11 minutes into the episode, so I was just like stuck and like wanted more from her. And then when I saw her at the table talking to Brie, I felt like everything switched at that point once I heard Brie's side. So I haven't decided yet how I feel about like what I feel about Maurice.
Jen, jury's still out.
Yeah.
I thought it was super cool getting to see Renee, because I think it's cool to have someone's perspective who is not one of the, I guess we can no longer call them divas.
No, that's right.
You still can. We haven't gotten to that
Athletes,
segment
but
yet.
Superstars.
So it's super fun to have the perspective of someone who's not a superstar but is still in and around with all the girls. Obviously, I feel like we can all relate to her as a host. So it's just cool to see her perspective. And I know she's close with Brie. Is it Brie she's closest with?
Yes.
And then Maurice, I feel like in the way that we have to have heroes and villains watching wrestling, we have to have heroes and villains watching the
See,
show.
you're learning stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're being set up to kind of dislike her, as, the Bellas are kind of the favorites, seeing as they got their own spinoff. I think we're being set up to not like Maurice, and they want her to bring the drama. So obviously I don't like her at this moment. I don't know anything about her, but I feel like I'm being set up to not like her. So it's kind of like I don't really like her right now. I love Lana. It's just cool. I like the addition of 3 new people, I think is great though.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, because I was explaining to Jennifer, like, Summer Rae's season, when she went on that season, she specifically told Jim Ross, like, I'm going to go start some shit. I'm going to ruffle some feathers and get people talking.
And that she did.
And that she did. And it didn't transfer onto TV like she thought it would.
Yeah.
She thought that'll get her booked in, like, the main event, bad heel woman's role. It didn't work out that way. So, like, I think what Megan's saying is totally true. Like, we need a villain this season. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Maurice, the one with the thick French accent, who's married to the Miz that everyone already hates, and like all this stuff. But I thought
let's
she
hear
was
from our chat
amazing.
roll a little bit. Andrea Beeler said, never been a Maurice fan. Oh, Andrea knows what she's talking about. She's been around for a long time. George Cicero says, Maurice is the bad girl.
Oh.
And Joseph said, I felt bad for Maurice with her history. Jay Ruiz, I will still call them divas if I feel like it. You go, Jay Ruiz. And AJ pointed out that Mark Carrano still called them that. I love a little Mark Carrano cameo. So let's jump back into the episode. We got a lot more info on Lana, and they showed a tiny little tidbit of Lana and Rusev in a pool, and him
proposing.
It looked like it was him proposing, but it didn't seem like a genuine proposal moment, and the fact that they didn't give it all to us, that was very confusing. So I'm just gonna say, please, more on that later.
Note to any men out there, if you're gonna propose, get on one knee. Don't
Yeah,
don't not get
on
on
the
one knee.
flamingo.
You have to. Yeah.
And Brie is all alone. Nikki is not there. Nikki still can't wrestle. Her and John are back in Tampa, and he's asking her, "Are you okay? Do you want to talk?" She is not happy about what's going on. But you know who is happy? Stephanie McMahon.
She is.
We know that when Stephanie McMahon comes around Total Divas, that something is going to go down. And this was a huge announcement. She gathered everyone together, all the girls at WrestleMania, to tell them, you are no longer divas. You are superstars, just like the men, which is what the guys have been being called for a long time. This is monumental.
It's huge.
Okay.
Do you guys get the weight of that? Like,
totally.
Yes.
What did you think about this scene?
I loved it just because I felt like it was a huge step in the right direction for women. It's huge. I mean, put them on the same page. Just like what Trinity was talking about. She just said, hey, I'm one of them. And I loved that. And Jimbo was... Yeah, and Jimbo was explaining to me, too, how it was before. Because... to me, it seems like the divas haven't been around that much because when I did watch wrestling, it was like early 90s.
Bra and panty matches. And
yeah, it wasn't
pillow fights and stuff.
No,
China was
it
the
was
only one
China,
actually wrestling.
and
Yeah.
so there wasn't. I mean, there
And
wasn't
she was
divas.
wrestling dudes.
Yeah, yeah, and you knew Stephanie McMahon, but she wasn't a wrestler, so like you knew little things. I don't know. So I was talking to Jimbo about it and how long divas have been around, and you said it was a while.
Well, like they've been around a while, but they haven't been taken seriously until recently.
Absolutely.
And while we're talking about like I think Trinity said it, like I'm a superstar, I should be called a superstar. I work just as hard as them. Let's talk about getting paid just as much as them, because there's still a huge gap in that. And that, like, I know recently Maria Menounos interviewed Stephanie McMahon and a bunch of the divas, and like we were just like throwing questions at the wall to see like maybe they'll pick this. And that was like my first question, like, are we going to address the pay level scale and evening this out? I don't know if it ever got asked, but like this is something I really want to know, especially with like Stephanie McMahon being the head of this.
Right.
Why isn't that her main concern of like...
Well, maybe that will be next on her to-do list. Let's move along and talk about the conflict. We'll just call it a conflict between Maurice and the Bellas. Now, this is one of those juicy wrestling insider things that you get from Total Divas that the hardcore fans are like, ooh, I don't watch Total Divas. Well, you should, because you'd learn about this contract business. Now, Maurice claims that there was sort of a pact between the Bellas and Maurice and one other girl that's never named to stick together regarding this contract, which we sort of later talked out and decided that they must have actually been talking about a contract for the first season of Total Divas, not a working WWE contract. So I'm not positive on that one, but we can certainly deduce from what they said that that is the case. And so we learned there is some major heat between Maurice and the Bellas, and Renee, meanwhile, isn't really cool with Maurice talking about it at dinner with Renee and Paige, right? So
I think
Renee's
everyone
already
was there but
hardcore
the
Team
twins.
Bella. Right.
So everyone was there but the twins, and she was like, oh, they can't defend themselves. It's not right.
Well, I thought Maurice was kind of just telling her side, and she certainly seems to have a legitimate bone to pick. Megan, was it you who was saying this made you not care for Maurice quite as much? Did you say that, Jen?
It was me. I said that at first when I was listening to her story, I was like, wow, maybe the Bellas, just threw her under the bus. You never know.
Yeah.
And then when I heard Brie's side, it just made so much sense listening to Maurice's explanation. She just kept throwing out her husband that she loves, and I love that Brie said, I don't care about any of that. What does that matter? Like, we're talking about something completely different, and I like how Brie handled it, and I feel like maybe Maurice was doing, I don't know, just kind of justifying it and not telling the truth.
Right. Yeah. Well, so at this initial conversation between the four of them.
Oh, I liked her at that
Renee was
point.
like, yeah. Right.
Yeah,
so
I liked her.
we're still with Maurice at this point, Megan.
Yeah, totally.
I'm with
thought
her
it was-
regardless.
I thought it was like
Surprise, surprise.
I thought it was like telling though that she said, well, you're gonna hear another side of the story, but my side's the right one. So
That's a
it's
good
like
point.
she already knows everything she's going to be saying is going to be disputed, then that's
Made you suspicious?
says yeah.
Yeah, red flag.
Okay. Well, you know who else was suspicious? This little girl at the hospital. who I love. So we finally see Paige. Everyone's been wondering, oh, is Paige on the season? Where is Paige? What's the deal? She was just injured while they were shooting the promo. She is going to be in every single episode. And yes, you're going to see Del Rio as well, as we got in the trailer. And we know that now. My problem with Paige has always been she tries to play the cool girl. She played the anti-diva card for a long time. And I said, you clearly care just as much about the way that you look and the image you're presenting as the rest of the ladies do. Look at how much makeup you've got on. That was always my point. You can't be the anti-diva with that much makeup on. So I would just like to say, bless this little girl's heart for pointing that out to Paige. She made me very happy, and we all laughed when she said that.
And can I also point out that she got her lips done?
and has lost some weight. She's got rocking some abs now.
And fillers. Like, it's very clear. So,
well, yeah,
just saying.
You got to keep up with your boyfriend's wife.
Ooh, shade on this panel.
Well,
It's really cold in here. So shady.
Some good news, some positivity up in here. Bree says that Daniel Bryan woke up happy for the first time in 6 months, and she's saying how she just realized he didn't just lose his career, but also his friends. And we got to remember, you know, for a lot of years, he would be there with her. He was not there for her to kind of back her up on all this quote-unquote middle school drama that we see Bree kind of explaining her side of the story a little bit in the car, but we are going to get more of that. We talked about Paige a little bit. Paige has decided apparently that she's an amateur hairstylist since last season, and she gives Naomi a brand new style. Now, again, I think a woman knows you never change your hair right before a big occasion, right? Mm-hmm. But it's so tempting. I mean, I don't blame her at all. I thought it was cute the way it was. It definitely wasn't cute when Paige was done.
I really didn't realize they were that drunk. I mean,
It didn't seem that way.
yeah, they were blaming it on being drunk the next day, and then I'm like, something was wrong with Paige that she was cutting girls' hair up near. I don't know if this was a fake storyline in the end,
I
but
totally think it
was terrifying.
Okay.
Or maybe even Paige helping her out, like, here's a storyline for you.
Maybe.
I
Like,
thought
you
it
need
was
something.
fake when, like, Jimmy or one of the Usos was like, I don't think you should be putting that much bleach in your hair because then it's all going to fall out. I was like, okay, I think that's a line that a producer was like, here, make sure you say something in the scene.
Did a cue card
Yeah.
fall?
Like-
I mean, it was
And then-
convenient. The hairstylist had no appointment.
You never cut your own hair. I'm bald and I know that. Okay? And let alone a woman's hair. Like, especially a black woman's hair, because that's a whole nother
different
thing.
story, right? Right. Whether it's her real hair or synthetic, like it's all
that's a
different.
big deal. So
Yeah.
like, and you never use stationary scissors to do that. Like, why? Like, they were just like
Right?
random
All right.
scissors.
I think
like,
we got duped. I think this was a fake storyline.
Yeah, pretty sure.
No, our chat roll does agree that they think this was just for the show and that Trinity should never trust Paige with her hair. AJ0314 says, however, Joseph Boza, who is in the know and is very smart on these things, he is mentioning Eve Torres. Yes, and that she was not comfortable showing her relationship on TV. I think we have our girl number 4. Thank you, Joseph.
That makes so much sense,
This
and
is
why
I
she
couldn't
hasn't
wait
come
to come
back.
and talk this out with you guys.
And that makes sense of why she hasn't come back.
Exactly.
And you know, because Eve never came back. Like,
No.
and it's funny
She left
because
at that same time, never
when
came back.
I don't know, when we get to like, are we gonna jump to Bree and Maurice's altercation?
Yes, let's do it.
So
Let's
like when
go
that all
there.
goes down, and she was talking about like Bree is like, no, like I got this job on my own and I worked hard for this, and like you're just trying to take that away from me. Like you always try and take things away from me. I was thinking like, okay, you got a point, but like Maurice went from not being on TV at all in years to coming right back, putting right into something with The Miz, her man, and she hasn't had to take a bump or wrestle a match, and she's probably getting paid just the same amount.
And she looks good
Stunning.
doing it.
So I really feel for Maurice because like I've been in situations like that, and like when we all sit back and I mean like it's just a theory, but I mean like the pieces are there. So like if Nikki and Brie were leaving and they were like parting ways with the WWE, they were pitching this idea of doing a reality show about women's wrestling and like they're like back behind the
Like
scenes
life
stuff.
after.
Yeah. So if it's like the two of them, Maurice and Eve, that shows like especially Eve was dating one of the Gracies, so that's like another aspect of things. Maybe then she goes back to WWE. I know Nikki had surgery during this time while they were off, and maybe they went back to WWE and were like, hey, you guys still want to do this? Because we pitched it around and no one else wants to pick it up because it's
Right.
wrestling. And there, Vince was like, okay, we'll do it, but we don't want them. Or like, we don't want Maurice because she might be hard to deal with, or like maybe like we don't want to acknowledge that she's with the Miz.
Yeah, maybe that had
You
something
know,
to do
like
with it.
because that goes back to like John Cena and Nikki dating, but no one not knowing
They didn't acknowledge
because
it on TV
they would
until
have
like a couple weeks ago.
they would have pulled that instantly.
Right.
Because like what happens if you guys break up? That screws up tons of stuff.
She says that WWE didn't even know that they were dating when
Yeah.
she got Total Divas. She said that recently in an interview. What did you guys think of the altercation between Maurice and Brie? I have to say what annoyed me was, and this is something we see very often with Brie, in her saying, well, my husband says this, and so he's right. And it's almost like a lot of times that she's just goes along with whatever Brian says, or she starts to think what he said. It's almost like he's telling her what to think, and I know she's an empowered, strong-minded woman, but when she speaks that way, it certainly sounds like he's told her to think that Maurice was a bad friend.
I thought it was poor form to bring her husband into the argument. Because,
He wasn't there to defend himself.
Right. And it's like, well, this is going to end up on TV, and now you're making Brian look bad because Brian probably never wanted Maurice to know that he badmouthed her, you know? And like,
Brian and the Miz! Oh.
I love how me and you just instantly went wrestling and we're like this talking smack segment where the two of them went at it.
Okay, just a short story. There's major heat between the husbands.
They've
Okay.
never seen eye to eye.
No.
And when
Okay.
Brian got brought in and he had a mentor and he was the rookie, the Miz was his mentor, which everyone thought was ridiculous because he had 10 years plus in wrestling on him. So like you were saying earlier, like if I'm gonna go host the Oscars, like someone's not gonna be like, oh, good luck. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
A lot of resentment between
yes.
the hubbies.
Oh man, I can't wait. Oh,
Don't make
sorry,
sense
Megan.
now. Sorry.
I thought it was, you know, it seemed like their ladies' two stories were so completely different. So it's hard to figure out who's telling the truth and who to side with. And I'm sure the truth lies in the middle somewhere. But I think bringing Brian into it and being like, my husband, like enough with my husband. Great. We love you,
We know
Brie,
who he
but
is.
enough with my husband.
Do you think that's why Maurice was like, well, I'm going to go see my husband, the man that I love? Like,
Probably.
they were just loving throwing it out. Well, I have a
Probably.
good thing Nikki wasn't there because she couldn't have said anything.
I'm gonna go to my shoes.
Hey, those are some good shoes. Joseph said, is Brian scared of Maurice? Maurice is a strong-minded woman. Oh, that's true. Oh, someone in the chat roll says it was Kelly and not Eve. So that's Kelly, Barbie Blank,
Barbie
who
Blank.
ended up on Wags, which is also
Yeah.
on E. So
I know
that's-
that.
you guys might have a point
Well,
there.
it would have been a cast, you know, so it could have been any of them. Or
true.
it definitely was the twins as like,
Oh,
no,
for
we
sure.
want to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
So maybe that might have been another altercation of like,
the ones who
oh,
eventually got the spinoff?
yeah.
Imagine that. Well, you know who I'm going to predict is going to be the big old star of this season? I think Lana.
Me too.
Oh,
I think a lot
yeah.
of storylines are going to revolve around her. We're going to see not one but two weddings. And in this episode tonight, she's going to have her debut match at WrestleMania. Not her debut match at WrestleMania. Her debut match, at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Which is a huge deal. She doesn't have a ton of training or a ton of experience, and she's more concerned about what she's gonna wear. And I can't say that I don't relate to this. I think a lot of times I'm all concerned about that, and I'm like, oh wait, what am I gonna say? I should worry about what I'm gonna say, right? But Natty's trying to remind her this is kind of a cute relationship developing between Natty and Lana. Yes.
I think also Natty's put in that position to be the elder and
She's the
tell
den mother.
Yeah, to tell all the girls what to do and what to be thinking about. So I don't know. Again, I feel like it's one of those things where they just kind of put them together and say, Natty, say a few wise words. I don't know.
Help this girl be a reality
Right.
star and a wrestler.
And also bringing it back to what you guys were debating about season 1 and what's going on there, I feel like everyone has their role. So like Natty had that role, the twins have their role, and they brought in Eva to be that
It goes
hot
back
new
to
thing.
having characters and needing a
Yes.
good guy and a bad guy and who
Yeah.
we're going to side with. And
So there probably was no space for Maurice because she, in thinking about the original cast now, they had JoJo and like everyone was, JoJo and Eva
JoJo,
were
Eva.
together.
Paige.
Trinity and Ariane.
No, Paige wasn't on
Paige
it.
hasn't
okay.
been on.
It was
for-
Ariane
the
and
last couple.
Ariane and Trinity were together,
Right.
and then they had Natty and the Bellas.
Yeah.
And that was it. So they didn't
long
have
ago.
room to really do anything else, and they didn't know what they were gonna get. So I don't know. That's just what I think. So there's all characters. So Natty has her character.
She definitely does, and it has kept her on this show for 6 seasons.
She's great.
I think you're right, though, about the way you look, because something I've heard someone say, your entrance in wrestling means so much, and it's the only thing that like no one else can take away from you or screw up. So like if you have an amazing entrance, that's awesome, and people will remember that, as opposed to like you planning on doing a certain move in the match and then that dude isn't where he needs to be, or you know, you hurt your knee earlier so you can't get up to the top rope to do that moonsault that you thought was going to be your big highlight reel move, but everyone's going to remember your entrance. And if you looked stunning, like I know that at that pay-per-view she came out and she stretched one leg over her head and everyone was just like you know, not only in the outfit and what she was doing, but it was just like, look how flexible I am, and I haven't even gotten in there to wrestle. Look at all the shit I can do. So what you look like and going out there like should be just as important as your wrestling match. But I understand Natty could have done it in a nicer way and not made her so nervous. Be like, yeah, don't screw this up, you know.
Yeah.
We're all counting on you too.
But I remember a really similar thing that everybody was saying this stuff to Eva for Eva's first WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, you're so lucky that you skipped all of everything we had to do and you're just being thrown right in there and blah, blah, blah. Like, it just had that familiar ring to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot more of them were not maybe jealous, but like, not, I don't know the right word to use, but like threatened by Eva because of the way she looks, and everyone, like, she's getting the Maxim magazines and she's doing all this stuff and she hasn't done anything that they have all worked so hard at.
Right.
Whereas like Lana, she's just a manager and she's already got a husband, so she's not out there trying to steal other dudes. You know, like Eva was in season 1 of like, oh, maybe I'll date Fandango. Oh, maybe I got engaged. Let me take off my ring and go on this date. You know, like, so maybe they're not as worried about Lana. They just don't want her to screw up their performance, especially like, no, there's a lot riding on this match, and we just got named women, and if you screw up this match, we might not ever get that title belt or get that opportunity. So,
and because this is Brie's big retirement match, her last one, she keeps saying, so Nikki finally arrives in Dallas and they have a very contentious conversation at the hotel, and Brie is kind of saying, you know, me, what about me, and you know, everyone's so concerned about Brian and this and that, and Nikki checks her hard and it's like, no, what about me? I may have also had my last match and it wasn't my choice. I thought that Nikki had a very, very good point here. I know Brie needs someone to vent to, but this is a tough one.
call Papa Laurinaitis. That would have been the best bet, because he seems to be like the good old wise man in situations like this. But yeah, like both of them have the same, like, I get it, you want to vent to your sister, but your sister's like, I'm in a freaking neck brace. At least you get to go out there and wrestle. Yeah. You know, so all the sides. See all the sides.
I like their ending to that fight. It was like, well, then you just go to your room. Okay, bitch.
I know.
How so many of their fights end?
I know. I love it, though.
Look at that shirt.
They have not been getting along a lot lately.
I miss my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They miss each other.
That's all it comes back to. By the way, going to those accesses where they like meet and greet the fans.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's awful. Like if you plan on trying to meet someone there, it's not good, because you wait in a huge long line, you pay all this money, they rush you in, they rush you out, you might get a chance to ask the question you wanted to ask, they sign something for you real quick, you gotta lean over the table to take a picture.
I hate that.
So like I hate those situations.
You think that's bad, Jimbo? Let me tell you about hauling your ass all the way to Dallas to work the WWE Hall of Fame red carpet and being very excited to interview Nikki and Brie, only to have them walk up to you, microphone out, Nikki's going, oh, hey, girl! And then some nasty man comes up behind them and says, oh, I'm sorry, the time is up, red carpet is over, we gotta get you guys out of here. And they're rushed away, red carpet is over, and Christy does not get her Hall of Fame interview with Nikki and Brie.
Yes, Josh. Josh is on point.
Thank you, Josh.
Josh.
That's
At
ridiculous.
Josh_Rodriguez_.
And I have been waiting since that moment happened. That was the 4th time that Total Divas has been filming, and I've been on the red carpet with one of the girls, and I have been waiting since that happened to be able to tell that little story here on Total Divas, and I was hoping that they would at least show that moment or something on the show tonight, and they didn't. So tears, boo, freaking who.
Dang.
All right, I have my moment now, guys. We can talk about Trinity and the fact that she had to fly her personal stylist in to do her hair. You know what? I think that's more believable than we maybe think at first, because really, in a place like Dallas, probably all the salons are booked when there's that many people in town. Plus, as far as the WWE makeup divas go, they're still called that. They have an Instagram account. It's really cool. Check it out. They really are booked 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and probably more than that for WrestleMania. Thinking about all the appearances and all the performances that all the athletes are doing, all the superstars, all your Renee Young people, I believe that there really wasn't anyone else there to do her hair. And sometimes you just gotta fly your own people in.
But when did she make that phone call to have her come out? Because I feel like she already had it planned before Paige even did that. And maybe it wasn't even her hair that she cut. Because if you notice, Paige just cut like right on top. Like, who does that? Like, if anything, you cut right here, like,
She was giving her layers.
Yeah, layer like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, if that's the case, they need to cast Naomi in the next WWE Studios film. Because she had me buying that she was worried.
yeah.
What did you think, Megan?
I also, I bought it while we were watching the show, but now that we're rehashing, I don't know. I think we were fed a little something funny.
Yeah.
But her hair looked fabulous. I love the purple and the turquoise together. It looked awesome. And everybody looked so amazing during their tag team match. I was like, the outfits have never been more amazing. They looked phenomenal. Hair and makeup, flawless. I was beyond thrilled for all of them.
Well, yeah, we saw Nikki on Total Bellas getting her gear with the retired stylist that I remember from the first few seasons of Total Divas. Her name starts with an S. I can't think of it now.
Love her.
But yeah,
Sandra?
yeah, Sandra. Yes, thank you. So they all looked amazing. Let's talk about the match.
Oh, before we get to the match, while you were talking about, remember Brie was like, oh, I did 3 interviews today and I'm exhausted. And then they were talking about the makeup artists and like, she's like, oh, I'm booked all night till 9. And then I got Steph at 6 a.m. So like Stephanie McMahon is like, you can't bump her. You know?
And you don't want to be tired.
And then I thought it was funny because I turned to you because you have the Feel the Glow shirt on. I was like, oh, what if that's why she went with this gimmick? Because like her hair was just like so screwed up and they were like, we're not going to be able to get the colors out. So she's like, all right, I'm going to wear glow in the dark paint and I'm just going to do Feel the Glow. Like, I don't know.
I'm sure we're going to see the evolution of that whole look play out this season, and I'm really excited about that. So we've got Team Total Divas versus Team Bad and Blonde at WrestleMania. Nikki even joins them at the end. This was exciting to watch, whether you're a wrestling fan or not. And we got our little Lana moment, and she did fantastic in this match.
I thought Team Bad and Blonde looked better than the other team. I loved it.
No, they look great. And I was going to comment on what you were saying about the costumes. Is that what they're called? Costumes or uniforms? I don't know. Gear. Okay. So their gear back in the beginning of Total Divas, you know,
The little hats.
yeah.
Oh my God, yes. It was like red sparkly and they had like tiny little T-top hats on. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and Natty had all the hearts that looked very, I mean, I get it, her name and all that, but it's just, it was a lot of just cheesy, and now it's like sexy and like strong. And I don't know, I thought Lana looked like Britney Spears, and I loved it.
It was definitely unique, her gear was.
It reminded me of an old like Playboy bunny like outfit,
The
like
shape
that
of it,
style.
yeah.
Where there was she's in Lucha Underground now as Katrina, but she was in WWE as Maxine. She had a similar style like that.
The corset.
It's like, is that what it would
Yeah,
be? Like a
they tight.
onesie kind of
Yeah.
corset thing? Yeah. It looked amazing.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
It did. I'm just trying to check out what our chat roll is saying about this. They're talking about that combo between Nikki and Brie. I get that Nikki is upset, but her sister is going through retirement, husband's retirement, and at the end of this match, Brie actually says, I don't feel like this was my last match. Well, I want you guys to know that she's already talking about coming back after baby, that she says she's going to be back for the next SummerSlam. She's due in April, SummerSlam's in August, and she thinks that'll be enough time to get back in shape. So
It was great to see her
Thanks for the
use
retirement storyline,
the move
but-
that we saw her learn in Total Bellas. in the finish. It was so cool to see it executed with the roll and everything. It was like awesome.
And
So
we
I
knew
really like that.
because we watched.
Because we watched Total Bellas.
Right. I knew that.
We did watch, and we also watched on this episode, Lita unveiled the brand new women's belt, which at the time when this happened, there was a little backlash. People didn't think it was the cutest belt they've ever seen, and I have to agree.
I think it's better than the guys'
Oh,
belt.
I know. Everyone hated
It's
the
better than a butterfly.
I like
The
it.
butterfly was
Shit.
awful.
I didn't hate the butterfly. See, I didn't hate
Have
the
you
butterfly.
seen the one before that where it was just like the plate?
It was very plain, right?
Yeah.
The original women's title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Nah.
No. Do you like the NXT women's title?
It's okay. I know that like fancy pretty pink things are not very empowered, but I like pretty pink things.
I like the diamonds in the W. That was my favorite part. I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. So it's girly, but it's still strong.
Jen wants it to sparkle.
Always sparkle.
I thought it was crazy that like when she's unveiling that and then we see Mark Carano and he's giving the speech like, you know, what was it, like 2 years ago we had a Cut of Divas match from WrestleMania and then we all thought back, oh, that was the tag match of the first season and how sad they were. And then I realized like, oh man, that means Ariane never got her WrestleMania moment. That sucks.
Wah, wah. She's gone.
But
Yes, she is not only cut from the cast, but she is
She's
gone
no
from
longer for
WWE
WWE.
altogether.
but
What did you, Megan? What did you think of the new title?
The belt itself,
The belt, yeah.
I thought it looked pretty masculine, which I think is the point. I think that's the point, is to have it be like, well, you know what, we're doing equality here. We're bringing the women up to the men, even though it seems like pay grade is probably a down low issue that down at the WWE. I was so happy to be moving on from that butterfly, and getting rid of the pink might be also a good statement. I thought it just looked so masculine.
it's basically the men's title, but instead of having a black like leather background, it's white. That's the only difference.
Is there diamonds?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
That's right. Well, you know who I think that title would look good on?
Not Paige.
Fearless Nikki.
Nikki.
Miss Nikki Bella, and she is coming for it. She was the longest rating Divas champion, and she now wants to be the longest rating women's champion. Man, what do you guys want to add about this episode?
I loved after they were done and they were walking back through the locker room, they showed them hug Sarah Del Rey, who is the head women's trainer at NXT, who is like a huge independent female wrestler that had done it all and was like, if WWE doesn't call me, I'm just going to retire. And they called her, but they called her to train the next generation.
And she
which is
basically made the
flawless.
Divas Revolution happen.
Yeah, pretty much. And I believe she's dating, if not married, to Cesaro.
Really? Oh, that I didn't know.
Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they're an item.
Ooh, we're going to do some investigating. Oh, someone in our chat roll just brought up Amanda. Oh, Mandy Rose. She's down at NXT, and she's actually learning how to wrestle.
I saw
and she's doing fantastically. She's tight with our AFTERBUZZ
wrestled-
girl, Daria Baronato.
I saw them wrestle at NXT at the Palladium.
And they were,
wrestled
and you
against
said they
each
were
other.
awesome,
They
right?
killed it. They did such a good job.
Yeah, I suspect that we'll see Mandy Rose pop back up on Total Divas another season, and I hope she brings Daria with her. AJO314 in the chat says Nikki should just enjoy that Divas title reign. Beth Jones says, hey, Christy, I'm watching this because of you guys. Enjoy your after show on Total Bellas. Well, thank you, Beth.
Aww.
Welcome to our Total Divas show. Joseph said Trinity is so underrated as Naomi. It's not funny.
Love her.
Yeah.
Montserrat says she's looking forward to Paige being the women's champ one day.
Speaking of Paige,
I just don't know if she's ever gonna get back in the WWE ring, y'all.
so we see the coming up on this season.
Yes.
And we see Paige shows off her Alberto Del Rio tattoo. So I was trying to think, like, what can you turn that into? Like,
Oh,
like what do you
she's screwed on that
alter
one.
that into?
Like a
you know,
You have to
like-
get like a giant black rose over it, or you know what I mean, like
Uh-huh.
something that covers it for
Yeah,
sure.
I said a bat, like a black bat. I don't know,
Like Rob Kardashian always got ex-girlfriends' names on him. Like, what does he do? Just put a giant tattoo over it?
Just
yeah, it's
the-
like the
just
Jax
X's?
Taylor Rose.
Yeah.
He has a picture of Rita Ora that he put over Adrian Bylone's name,
God.
and then him and Rita Ora broke up, and he just said he let it stretch. So it's just giant, like Rita's face all messed up on his stomach. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty funny. On that note, let's move into news and gossip.
AfterBuzz.
Yes, so much good news this week. The top headline just came out today. Total Bellas has been renewed for season 2.
Yes. Yes.
And we are getting, yes, not only 6, but 8
Nice.
episodes. That was our only complaint about the show, was that it was only 6
Can
episodes.
we not get 10? Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Wait, we have to wait for season 3 for that, but I can't wait to hear what you guys think of the premise. So in this season, Nikki and John will move to Phoenix to help Bree and Brian with the pregnancy. Did we see that coming a little bit?
Oh man.
I think John's never going to be there, just like he was never home in his own house in season 1.
I think you might be right, but that season 1 finale did grab almost 1 million viewers.
Wow.
And we can continue to celebrate through the week because Monday is Bella Day.
What?
Yeah, I don't really know what that means, but that's just what Nikki said on Twitter or somewhere. So I will keep you all posted on social media if we find out what that. I'm hoping it's just a lot of good celebrating around the world with the fans, and that's always fun.
Cool.
Bella Army, just get ready for Bella Day. That's all we're saying. Nikki also celebrated 5 million Instagram followers. She hit that 5 mil mark, and she celebrated with a little booty shaking video.
I saw
So check that
that.
out. A little interesting tidbit from Lana. Of course, all the ladies were kind of working the promo circuit this week to pump up this premiere. And Lana revealed to Channel Guide magazine that she has always wanted to be on the show and that she was actually rejected for season 2. There was talk of her having joined then and then also again in season 4. But the problem was that they were worried that seeing her American family on the show would like hurt the gimmick, the Russian gimmick thing, or kind of confuse the WWE fans.
Okay. I can see
so
that.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But we are definitely glad to have her now. Also glad to have Renee Young on the cast. She revealed in an interview that Dean Ambrose, her boyfriend, who I think is probably the main reason we're seeing her on this show, she says he was hesitant to do Total Divas at first, but that he then talked to Daniel Bryan about it and kind of warmed up to him about it. Now, that's a conversation I'm sure we will never see, but I would love to.
I'm
you
shocked,
think how that
actually.
I'm shocked that dude would
Very
talk him
shocked.
into it and
That-
not be like,
that's what
"This
I
is the
think.
worst decision I ever made. Don't do it."
That's what I think. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
Surprised.
that's
He has to, in some way, come up with something like, look, for the money or something. Like, he has to, like, I'm trying to think of what he could possibly have said. But seriously.
Whatever it was, it worked because we got the lunatic
Unless-
fringe on Total
unless they
Divas.
make sure you travel together for that. Maybe that was like a
Like,
selling
something
point.
like that.
Like
Yeah.
like because like also in like the coming up they talk about the brand split and then like Naomi is like, oh man, what if John and him go to another show? Then I'm never gonna see him because we're not gonna travel together. So maybe that was like a selling point of like, come on, Dean, we'll make sure that she's on every show that you're on and you guys get to be together all the time and be a happy couple.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
Aw.
Nay.
Nay, indeed. Nikki chipped her tooth last night on SmackDown
man.
Live. Speaking of the whole crew on SmackDown. Now, she had a match against Carmella, and then Charlotte interfered. It turned into a 12-woman brawl. Team SmackDown versus Team Raw. And Nikki had her face, like, pounded into the mat at one point. And they do a show called Talking Smack after SmackDown Live on the network, and she appeared right on there holding that microphone with her big front tooth all
I
chipped,
saw
no
that.
shame. I just love that. I have so much respect for that. She just got the other tooth fixed that she broke, that we saw her break. Remember, it was a storyline on Divas, I think the
She got
first or
kicked in
second
the mouth.
season.
Yeah.
Yes, and she was afraid
By-
that she didn't want John to see her. She just got that fixed,
Was
and
it
that was years ago.
Tamina Snuka that kicked her in the mouth?
I believe so. Yes, I think you're right. And now another chipped tooth for Nikki Bella. That poor mouth. She
Oh,
just can't
sweet
keep it in one
irony.
piece, right?
She's like a hockey player. Like,
Yeah, right?
Paige, we did talk a little bit about this, that she wasn't in the promos because of injury, but she will reportedly be in every episode, and you will see Del Rio as well. I'm wondering if we're going to see Paige's wellness violation that she had earlier this year play out on the show. Eva Marie was also pumped for a wellness violation a couple months ago with the company, and now she has had 2 movie roles, not one,
Yeah.
but 2, one with Nicolas Cage, and then another coming up that she's gearing up to shoot for WWE Studios and will be reportedly returning to WWE TV in December to a big SmackDown push. But there's a lot of speculation too that maybe she's done with the company and maybe they're done with her. So we will definitely keep you posted on that.
I think
Good
that'd be
for
a
her,
huge mistake
right?
for them.
For them, yeah.
That'd be like building something up so high and then just throwing it away. Like all the money they invested in her and giving her all that TV time and all that publicity and just getting her like red hot. She is so like on fire.
She's on her way to being the female Rock.
Yeah, which is what Nikki wants, which is maybe why they're like, no, you can stay home for a while.
Well, on that note, we are going to roll into Total Throwback.
Oh.
Yes, Total Throwback is back for another season. These are trivia questions from past Total Divas seasons. We'll see how well you guys remember our favorite ladies. Now, this one is about Miss Eva Marie, who for the movie roles we just talked about, she's gone back to her dark brunette hair, and she kind of keeps bouncing back and forth. She did a couple of YouTube videos with her stylist showing how she does it, and everyone's freaking out. No more all red everything. Well, this is not the first time that we've seen Eva as a brunette. If you remember, we're getting there. We're getting there. At her wedding, she came out to walk down the aisle with her dark hair, not the red hair. She went right back to it after that. But the question is, this is from season 3. This was episode 10, the mid-season finale. So it was a big one. Do you remember why, the reason that Eva Marie cited for having her dark hair at the wedding? Jimbo's dying.
I know.
Everybody, do you all just want to maybe think of the one word and then
Yeah.
I'll say it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Daddy.
Oh, you guys know! Yay!
He wanted her to look like she was when she was young.
That's
and the
right.
way he knows her.
That's right. She said, I want to walk down the aisle as Daddy's little girl.
Yay.
That was
That's so sweet.
cute. Oh, you guys remembered. I love it. All right. Well, you know what? I wanted to start off kind of easy. We didn't want to
I knew that
roll
was
anybody
too
too
easy.
hard on the first episode. So next week, now that I see we are not at beginner or intermediate level,
I'm the
we are
defending
advanced
champ,
here.
okay? I'm the defending champion.
Jimbo won our Bella Blunders game that we played during Total Bella.
Dodgy Claire made an awesome little graphic too.
I could
Did you
have
see
tried.
that? Yeah.
I could have tried. I could have been a contender.
So you guys need to redeem yourselves.
Yeah.
Well, this was my first one, and I hope I'm back for another one. I will be
yes.
back.
Maybe
so.
maybe you and Paulina can be a team.
All right, fine.
you
And
go.
I'll be in the chat then. I'll be like, hey guys, I think this.
Oh my God, I love it. And I do want to thank everybody for hanging out with us there in the chat roll. This was so much fun. You guys always come up with things that we didn't see or think of. And it's really cool to break down the episode with you. They're talking about that Eva's gotten better at wrestling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kick
Leaps
she
and
did.
bounds, man.
I liked that move.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Oh my God, George Cisneros. Monday is the Bella's birthday. Duh. Thank you, George Cisneros.
Not just Bella's day,
Duh.
Bella's birthday.
Yes. Oh my God, we're gonna
Yay.
celebrate Bella Army. Yes.
Scorpios.
Yay.
Well, guys, if everybody wants to celebrate Bella Day with you, where can they do that at, Jimbo?
You can find me on Twitter at the Jim. Or no, that was my old one.
Oh.
Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth. Check out the Xpac 12360 podcast. We had Gangrel on today. It was a great interview.
Hey guys, I'm Jennifer Leone. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Jennifer Leone TV. And I hope I'll be back.
Yay. You guys can find me, Megan Stecher, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. It's all at Megan Stecher, and it's MEGANSTECHER.
Well, guys, I'd love it if you would reach out to me at Christy Reports on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And please also check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Christy Reports. I have interviewed the Bella Twins other times. I did actually get them on the red carpet. You can see it all there. This has been a ton of fun. It's going to be a great season. I'm going to be looking forward to this every Wednesday. Thank you guys all for hanging out. Thank you all out there. We will see you next week for more Bellabrating on Total Divas. Have a good Bella Day.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.